Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and with iOS 27, Apple introduced some feature enhancements with Liquid Glass, as well as Siri AI, and many new features and changes. But if maybe you're finding you're not enjoying the update, or maybe you're having app compatibility issues or other bugs that you don't want to work with or deal with right now, I wanted to show you how you can downgrade step by step without losing data. Now, the first thing you'll need is a computer with iTunes or the Music app, or a Mac with Finder. That's how we'll actually downgrade, and without one of those things, you can't actually downgrade. The only other way to downgrade would be to bring it to Apple or in a certified Apple service center, and then they can downgrade it for you. Without that, you won't be able to downgrade. Now, before you downgrade, just keep in mind we will be completely wiping your phone and then restoring all of your data to bring it back to iOS 26. So just keep that in mind. And before we do this, we want to make sure we have a backup. You can do this one of two ways. You can go into your settings, tap on your name at the top, go into your iCloud settings, scroll down, and you'll see the iCloud backup. You can back up now, so we'll go ahead and do that. Or you can use a computer backing up with iTunes or again with Finder on the Mac and have a local copy there. That way you'll be able to restore either way in the future if you want to go back to iOS 27. But make sure you do this first before we get started. Now, once the backup is completed, as far as what we'll restore once we downgrade to iOS 26, well, that would be anything that you have saved to iCloud. This actually will sync without having to restore, but you'll see everything from your photos to your mail to your notes, settings, and any different app that's syncing to iCloud. If you're not using iCloud, just make sure you have a backup on your device, such as your Mac or Windows computer, and then that will sync automatically once you restore. But you will need an iOS 26 backup in order to restore it to iOS 26. But if you don't have that, anything that's synced in iCloud will automatically carry over, and you'll gain all of your messages back along with photos, calendars, and any setting that you have enabled in iCloud. Now, as far as getting started, first let's go back and check the version we're currently on. So if we go into our settings, go to General and Software Update, you'll see we're already on iOS 27. And the way to downgrade the easiest is basically by going into Restore mode. It's a lot easier in iOS 27 to do this. So we'll go into the Control Center. Then we've got this option to turn off our device here, slide to power off. So press and hold that, slide to power off. Once it's turned off, wait a minute here, and then we'll go ahead and press and hold the power sleep wake button. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll wait for it to power on, and we'll continue to hold it. So you may have to do this a couple times, and I wanted to show you in real time. So let's try it again. Sometimes it's not fully shut down. So try it a couple times. There we go. Keep holding, and it now says continue holding for recovery. Keep holding the button until it says it's loading in recovery. So it says loading recovery options, let go, and then it will continue to load. So we'll wait just a moment as it loads the recovery options, and we have a few different options that will show up here. So give it a moment. Again, we'll do this in real time so you can see how long it actually takes. You'll get a little line here that's showing the actual startup status. Again, give it a moment to complete. And it may take a few minutes actually to get to this screen. So there we go. And then we have a few options. So you've got Recovery Assistant, Software Update, restore your iPhone to the latest version. We don't want that. We want to restore to a previous version. However, if you change your mind and you don't want to do this at all, you can actually just restart, press the power button here and tap Restart. Then it will restart your phone and you'll be back out of recovery mode and back into iOS 27. So you'll see we're back to the home screen and we've rebooted without an issue instead of going into restore mode. So let's go back into restore mode and get this downgraded to iOS 26. So again, here, slide to power off, give it a moment, and we'll go back into recovery mode. Now we're back to restore your iPhone and we'll tap on recovery mode. Now it says your iPhone will need to restart to enter recovery mode. While your iPhone restarts, connect it to your computer using a USB cable. So we'll tap on Restart iPhone, we'll grab our USB cable from our computer, and then go ahead and plug it in. So we'll do that now, just because we'll need to do it either way. Plug it in to your Mac or Windows computer, and then we'll move on to the next step once it reboots here. Now it's asking us to connect our USB-C cable to our computer. We've already done that, and now let's move over to our computer. And you'll see here it opened automatically in the Finder. However, if it doesn't open for you, go ahead and open up the Finder, find your iPhone on the left, and go ahead and click on that. Once you've done that, you'll have two different options to restore your iPhone or update. Click on Restore, give it a moment here, and it will say, do you want to restore and update? We'll go ahead and click on that. And what this will do is download the latest version of iOS that's available to the public. So we'll go ahead and click Next. Now we'll have to agree to the terms. And now it will download the latest update. In this case, it's iOS 26.5.2, but it could be any version depending on which one is current. Give it a few minutes to download, and then it will begin the restore process. Also, if it's not working properly for you, I would recommend a cable from Apple directly or the one that came with the iPhone. Just make sure it's a high quality cable so you don't run into any issues. Once the download completes, it's going to extract the software. This will take a moment, and then it will begin the restore process. It's currently 11:42, so let's see how long this actually takes to fully reboot and come back to the restart process. You'll see the iPhone reboot, and then it will start to restore. You'll start to see a progress indicator as well. Again, give it a few moments. You'll see now it took about 6 minutes or so for the iPhone to completely restore and then start to reboot. And then on your computer, it will tell you that it's restored. So give it a moment to boot back up, and then we'll have to set it up. Again, you'll see a status bar as it reboots for the first time. That's completely normal. From the start of the restore process until it rebooted, it took 9 minutes or so. This will vary depending on your device. Now let's go ahead and unplug it. So now it's saying the iPhone is locked to the owner. That's fine. We have our username and password. Let's swipe up here and then tap on English. Now we can set this up for our region here. We'll tap United States for me and then choose our appearance. I'll just leave it as default for now. And now we can set this up either by bringing in a device nearby that has our account on it, such as an iPad or an iPhone, or we could set it up manually. But let me go ahead and bring an iPhone nearby here. We can then quickly set it up, just like we could when we first got the device, and this will transfer over our account and make things a little bit easier. So it says waiting on other phone. We'll keep it nearby here off to the side. And then we'll put in our passcode for our current phone or device that we're attached to. It now says setting up your iPhone, so we'll give it just a moment here. And now it's saying it's locked to owner, so we'll just have to go ahead and put in our iCloud username and password. Once we're past that screen, we'll tap continue on data and privacy, or we could learn more. And then we'll go ahead and set up Face ID. You could set this up later, but let me go ahead and set it up here. Position my face and get it set up. We'll just rotate our head around like this. And then we can set it up to use a face mask or not at all, or set it up later in settings. And now it says Face ID is now set up. We'll tap continue. And now this is the part where we'll restore our data. Now we can set this up completely as a new device. You'll see download from iCloud. This is usually the fastest. Of course, it depends on how much data you have. You could transfer from another device. Again, that's going to take a little bit of time, but if we may be backed up to a computer, this is where we can set it up here. So again, don't transfer anything. You can restore from an iCloud backup, from another iPhone, from a Mac or PC, or even from Android. In this case, we'll restore from an iCloud backup. Now we can choose a backup to restore. You do not want to select the one we created before actually restoring this phone. The reason is it will force you to go back to iOS 27 as you'll need to restore that, and it will put you in a loop to do that. Instead, we want to go down to where we have show all backups, and then we can select this particular phone where we backed it up previously. So for example, you'll see here, iPhone 17 Pro Blue, this phone, I backed it up yesterday, before we actually upgraded to iOS 27, and you'll want to restore from an iOS 26 backup instead. And hopefully you have one or a previous backup on your Windows or Mac computer. Now it says you can match the settings of your other phone or customize. We'll go ahead and match the settings, and then we can turn on stolen device protection. It will then add different cards based on what you had in your Apple Wallet. You can actually skip this or have it set it up automatically. Then it will ask us if we want to enable Apple Intelligence. Of course, this is region specific. Whether or not it's available and which phone you're actually using depends as well. We'll tap continue. I'll just turn it on for now since this is things I particularly use, especially priority notifications. Then we can set up Siri or do that later. And then it's telling us about emergency SOS. Go ahead and tap continue. And now it's saying restore your iPhone from iCloud. So you'll see currently it is 12:18. We'll see how long this actually takes. Now it's rebooting. The initial restore didn't take very long. It took about 1 minute or so. Of course, that's internet dependent, depending on how fast your internet connection is. This is just the initial restore. Then it will begin downloading all of your information in the background. So again, you'll get a status bar and it will reboot. Now it rebooted. It only took about 3 minutes or so, and we're back to the home screen. So it says restore completed. We're back on iOS 26, so we'll tap continue. And we can set this up later if we want to transfer our phone number. Now, keep in mind, as far as your eSIM goes, it doesn't erase your eSIM. If you've already got it on this device, it will stay on this device. You would have to erase it specifically. So if we go to get started, if you don't have your eSIM set up on here, you can just transfer it from another device, or if you have a physical SIM card. So now you'll see we're at a screen where most of our apps are sort of here, but blank in a little way. That's because it's going to restore this information. So if we go into our settings, you'll see here it says finish setting up your phone, get help during an emergency. So it's talking about that. And again, when it comes to cellular with your eSIM, that data is still here. So it never removed my eSIM. I can use the line that's on it, or I can transfer from another phone. So keep in mind, it doesn't delete that. Now, if we go back home, you'll see it's going to install all of the apps and then begin transferring all of that information over. So this will take some time. You'll see it's currently 12:22, and depending on your internet connection and how much data you have to restore, it's going to take some time. You'll see it says an estimated 15.1 gigabytes will be downloaded to finish restoring your apps and data. So again, this is very dependent on your device. Give it some time and it will restore, and we'll come back once this is completed. The restore is finally complete. It took about an hour and a half to fully restore, and that's typical based on how much data you have. Now, again, this is dependent on the amount of data you have as well as your internet connection speed. But now that it's completed, it actually has restored everything. So everything from my settings here, even dark mode, the wallpaper, I switched back to the iOS 26 wallpaper, but you'll see all of my apps are in the same position, all of the different widgets, anything else I use is here, as well as all of my playlists. So if we go into our music here, you'll see everything's the same as it was. If I go into my library, my playlists are there. And if we go into photos, everything is the same. From my recent days to my different albums, my media types, everything is here. The same is true with messages, mail, and everything else. So everything is restored, including contacts, recent phone numbers, and different data within different apps. So depending on your app, you may need to log back in for security purposes, whether that's Google, or maybe you have a car you need to log into, something like that. You may need to log into, but for the most part, everything will just be back how it was originally. So you'll see even my widget page is the same and everything else. So everything has been completely restored. And again, you can continue to use this. If you want to go back to iOS 27, we have that backup we made earlier. However, you can just update directly from your settings now, like you never actually used it. So again, everything is back to where you were and you haven't lost any data. So hopefully that helped you as far as the overall restore back to iOS 26. Let me know how you're enjoying iOS 27 or what you think of it as well in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.